So we're going to be using rough boards for our roofing decking. We got 1 inch thick rough sawn hemlock, 12 inches wide for it. So now let's get a bunch up there and start nailing them down. They're a little heavy and hard to wield, but still make a nice decking for the roofing to go on. Snow and ice and cold makes everything a little bit harder to work with and deal with, but I guess that's part of living in Maine. I'm hoping once I get the first few up, I can kind of just put a bunch up and load them in, but we'll see how that goes. The nice thing is this roof has a nice small or gradual slant to it, so it's easy to walk up and down on. The only negative is, as if we get a really lot of snow, I'll probably have to climb up and clean off both these roofs, but should only be in a really heavy snowfall event or multiple heavy snowfall events in a row. Feels good to be where we're at on this project, though. Pretty soon we'll be closing it all in and putting the roofing on. You'll have to let me know if you have to deal with snow in your project you are doing. I think it does make everything take just a little bit longer. I will say one thing. These hemlock boards are actually quite heavy. They're giving me a pretty good workout. We're actually pretty lucky here in Maine. We have a very good selection of a lot of people to choose from that we can get rough sawn lumber from. There's larger sawmills that will provide it and deliver it right to you, and there's also a lot of individuals who own sawmills who cut a lot of lumber as well. I got these from one of the larger lumber mills, but the rough beams and a lot of the rough boards that I'm going to do as far as the walls, I got from a local one-man show with his own sawmill, pulling trees out of his own woods, which was really kind of nice. But we're lucky because it really gives us a lot of different options as far as where to get wood from locally, not just your large box stores. Out of nails. The worst part is I gotta climb all the way back down the ladder to get them. But I do have to say it's a nice working on this roof. It's not too much of a slant. I'm not a huge fan of being up on roofs working and doing stuff. I guess I'm not a huge fan of being of heights. So this is a very gradual slant. It's very easy to walk on, which is nice. But be right back. This nail gun was a little bit more of an extravagant purchase for me. It's probably something I wouldn't normally do, especially for unless I had a lot of projects, which I did at the time. When we bought this house, it pretty much needed everything done to it. So at this point, we've redone all the exterior siding. Cedar siding on the front of the house, clapboards, and one whole side had to be redone. And the whole back and another side, we stripped all the cedar shakes off and put all new shakes on. So this gun came in very handy for that. And I was talking with a contractor friend, and he said, believe it or not, he uses his with longer nails like this for other jobs like what I'm doing here. So it does save an immense amount of time. But I wouldn't have bought this just for this job because I can hand nail it all, and it wasn't a cheap option, whereas a hammer is an inexpensive option. But to do all the siding, because even on the hay barn here on the front of it, we already did that whole side, redid the shakes on that side, and the front side we're doing the shakes on as well. Plus the front, I should say this side, we're doing the shakes on. The very front we redid with cedar clapboards, so it matches the house. So it's come in very handy and has been worth the money I spent on it, and I think I'll get my money's worth continuing on it, but I'm glad I got it. Got this part of the roofing deck done. Now it's time to go in and warm up near the wood stove and have some lunch. And maybe later this afternoon or tomorrow, finish off the rest of this roofing deck. And then I can start putting the side walls and stuff on so that I can get the roofing on, get the drip edges on, and then put down the asphalt roofing. Hopefully that goes as easily and quick as this does. So waking up this morning, it was about 14 degrees out. Nice brisk morning. It's warmed up to a balmy about 18 degrees. But our goal to start with today is to see if we can finish putting on this roofing deck. Whereas yesterday I was able to put on full boards, today I gotta cut them and then put them up as well. And then once I'm done putting the rest of that decking on, and what I did, like over here, you can see I left it overhanging a little bit. So basically instead of having to cut each board for the longer ones, I'll basically be able to snap a chalk line up there and then just use the skill saw and rip it right down. And then once that's done, I can start putting these sidewalls on and then put on the tar paper and the drip edge and start roofing. But we'll see how it goes today. So there's times I do envy a little bit people that are down south where it's a little warmer, especially on these cold days. Like today, waking up and having it be 10 degrees out in the morning was nice and chilly. It was nice and chilly going out to do the animals this morning. It's warmed up to about 20 degrees, so it's a little warmer, but I still envy them a little bit. But I probably wouldn't trade the cold winters for the hot summers, that's for sure. Because you can bundle up and still get out and work in the cold. But I don't know if I'd want to be out in the hot sun all day in the summer, that's for sure. So we already finished one side, closing it in, and now we're going to be starting on our second side here. See how much we can get done today with this. Or we finished up over there just a little bit ago, so we'll see. It's starting to get dark here pretty early. Sunset's around 4 o'clock, so it's time to go in and see what's for dinner.
Tonight we're cooking some country-style pork chops, and I'm going to just start by slicing up some onions and some lemon. This is a recipe my dad used to make when I was a kid. Actually, probably more like a teenager. And actually when I was dating Sam, and he would enjoy this recipe that my dad made and say one of his favorites. But then again, he said everything was one of his favorites. That's how he was always invited back for dinner. Probably don't need this whole lemon because it's only for 2 people. Ribs are from the pigs that we raised here on the land. So just gonna put the lemon slices on. Pull out any seeds, see a few. Lemon, excuse me, then the onion. Making a sauce to put on this, so I'm going to save the rest to put in the sauce. In the meantime, this goes in the oven at 450 for a few minutes just to start to crisp up the onions and the lemon. Now that the ribs are in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and make the sauce. This recipe calls for 1 cup of ketchup. We make our own ketchup from the tomatoes we grow here, but we're almost out. It's time to make some more from the frozen tomatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and use just this unsweetened ketchup I have as backup. And I will actually go ahead and add some maple syrup. Because I think ketchup, part of its deliciousness is the sweetener. It's probably going to take most of this bottle. Yeah. Just a little maple syrup. This calls for quite a bit of Worcestershire. Half a cup. Teaspoon of chili powder. stove, bring it to a boil, and then add it to the ribs. So the sauce is now up to a boil. Shut it off, take out the ribs. I'm going to pour the sauce right on top. I'm just going to add those extra onions. Now back in the oven at 350 for 2 hours, but we're going to baste it every 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes. Let's check it out. Oh, they're looking great. Probably really doesn't need basting, but I'm gonna stir the onions on the side. Yeah, maybe I'll throw a few onions on. Why not? It's really good. Back in, check it in 15 more. See how they're doing.
Now that the ribs are in the oven, I'm going to take over and we're going to do up some mashed potatoes with our Nicola potatoes and some broccoli as well. Our broccoli plants this year, we planted later in the season to see if we could get a later harvest instead of planting it in the spring. Really wasn't a success. They formed some nice big plants and stuff, but didn't have time to actually get heads on them. So this we got from our local food co-op as well. So a majority of the meal is from us, a little bit is from other farmers as well. Broccoli we're just going to boil up or steam and throw a little butter and salt on it. So the broccoli's done. We're just going to add a little bit of butter to it and some salt, and then it'll be time to drain the potatoes.
But the ribs look really good.
But the ribs look delicious.
That plate's out.
Yeah. We leave the skins on the potatoes when we do them for mashed potatoes, mostly so we get all the nutrients from them, all the vitamins and stuff, and minerals. And it doesn't bother me as far as texture on them. Sometimes we do whipped potatoes, but not tonight.
So those are quite large.
Yes, they are. Probably won't eat all of them, but I'll try. Getting some kombucha. That sounds good.
2 slices left. Convenient.
Just Either one, they're both enormous. Again, we probably won't finish them, but
Thanks.
yep. Thank you for joining us again on the Homestead, and we look forward to seeing you next week.